Welcome to the District 5 Town Hall meeting. I'm Claudia Burgos. I'm going to be your MC for this morning. And welcome to the beautiful St. Jarlath's campus. And thank you to the St. Jarlath's community for opening your doors and welcoming us here this morning. Although many of us are here with heavy hearts due to the tragic killing of Mr. Campos yesterday, it is truly inspiring to see so many Oakland residents here this morning, so many residents of District 5 who are working every day to make this community a better community, a safer community. And it's also inspiring to see so many of the City of Oakland staff and family here this morning, because we too are dedicated just as much as the residents of this city to improve and to work with you to make this a better community. So we look forward to a very productive morning. We have a long schedule ahead of us, and we've got a lot of work to do, but we're all confident that working together, we can make a difference in this community.
So I want to particularly, what I'm going to do before I make my remarks, I'm going to do a bunch of thank yous, and we would not have gotten here unless there hadn't been about, I think, 30 block by block volunteers joined with the city staff in making outreach for this meeting. And what we found is that we've had record numbers at all of our town hall meetings. That we haven't had a District 5 meeting, I think, this size for a long time. We had 400 people in North Oakland last week. And what to me it stands for is that people are coming forward and saying, we get it, it is tough times, but we can't wait for change. Even though we're going to have less money, we're going to do some very difficult things, that we have to come together as a city and as a community, and we have to keep moving it forward. We can't allow a city to continue where only 30 or 40% of our Black and Latino boys are graduating from high school. We can't continue with a city where a leader like Chuy Campos, who I had just talked to last Saturday, we had a great town hall merchants meeting in the Fruitvale on Wednesday. We had brought crime down in the last 3 months. We literally were looking at a chart that showed the little pink spots that you see on the internet where the crime was. We looked at it 3 months ago along International, and almost all the pink spots had gone away. We were feeling very, very, very good, and we were moving forward, and then this happened to Chuy. And, you know, I think, knowing him, he would say, you know, we just have to keep going. And so I'm glad that we were able to honor his memory today. And I just want to say one extra thing. Almost a year ago, the same thing happened in Chinatown. We had first Mr. Yi and then Mr. Wu within a 6-month period. In both of those cases, the whole community came together. And in particularly in the last killing, in Mr. Wu's case, it was the Black community that came forward. The Asian community learned a lesson that we would stay together, that if there's injustice, that we as a city will come together, whatever the color of our skins. We can't allow the murder of innocent civilians in the city, and particularly people who have been our leaders, that we have to stand behind. In the next few weeks, we need to come together. We need to find who did this, and we need to deal with both the short term and the long term. And that's what your breakout groups are today. So if you don't have one of these programs, we've been doing this, it's been very successful in each of our town hall meetings. After, is this working? Did it die? Hello? It's still working. After we have brief introductions from Ignacio and I, we ask you to choose one of these small groups. You'll be asked to identify the problems, but also identify the solutions and things that you want us to work on. Then we'll come back, we'll get a report out. At the very end, I'm going to do a short overview on the budget. This is the starting of the budget season. And then we'll take open questions. And in most of our meetings, that's a long agenda. Most people have stayed to the end, so we want to keep you moving. So the first thing I want to do is just thank some people for whom this couldn't have happened. I want you to stand. These are volunteers. These are your neighbors. First of all, you heard from Alan Brew, who led the outreach movement. Maureen Hartney, a former principal and a great neighborhood leader now. If you're here, stand up. Come on, don't be shy. Ron San Miguel, who lives in the area and started us out with the song. Kit Vac, where is she? Come on. They're so shy. Kit led the fight to save the bus lines for this neighborhood. So you get to know your neighbors. Dale Hagan, Mary Vale, I know I saw you. Just wave if you're not willing to stand. A big Glenview activist. Monique Rivera, my husband who is working. He'll be here later. My son is also working, but my son walked this neighborhood. He has perfect Spanish. His novia is Peruvian, so she's been working on his Spanish. He walked this neighborhood. Jose Dorado, who is another leader of our Merchants Association. Where's Jose? He's doing taxes. He's coming back for the breakout. Jose Duarte, one of our youth leaders. I saw him earlier. Carlos Castellanos and Dale Risden. Okay, they're all too shy. I've seen them. They're running around here. Of course, we thank St. Charles, the parish, Father Figueroa, Franco Ordaz, the custodian who helped us set up this morning, and Joe DeFries, who is one of our major outreach workers, works for the city. Where are you? You are also hiding. So when you see their name tags, you see the name tags. Okay, so those are the core people who got us out today. What I also do at the beginning is, what we have around the edge is a table from every department pretty much in the city and the services they offer. I'd like our department heads and our new acting interim city managers stand so you can see them and you can talk to them throughout the day. So if you guys could line up here to the right and just name and department, please, no speeches. If we could start with Mr. Yule, please. You know, we have a very tough job, and I'm trying to find a permanent city manager, but Lamont Yule has been kind enough to come out of retirement to help us with one of the probably most toughest budgets that we've faced as a city. He was our former fire chief. He was also a former city manager. He leads the team. Mr. Yule.
Well, hello, and it actually is a privilege to be back in Oakland, so I look forward to working with each of you.
Buenos días, bienvenidos. Carmen Martinez, the library director, and we have handouts here on the left.
Walter Cohen, Community and Economic Development Agency.
Good morning. Ken Gordon, Department of Information Technology, Acting Director.
James Williams, Deputy Fire Chief, representing Interim Fire Chief Mark Hoffman.
Audrey Jones-Taylor, Office of Parks and Recreation Director, where we want you all to come out and play the OPR way.
Good morning. Deborah Barnes, Director of the Department of Contracting and Purchasing.
Good morning, I'm Andrea Gordine. I'm the Human Resources Director for the City of Oakland.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrea Youngdahl, Director of Human Services.
Good morning, David McPherson representing Finance. We have a booth over here as well. Thank you. Good morning.
Tony Batts, Oakland Police Department.
Joe DeVries, Neighborhood Services. If you don't belong to a neighborhood watch, start one. If you don't go to your neighborhood council meeting, start going now.
The events of yesterday, I have to say there are days that are tough on the job. Yesterday was a very tough day because this is, it's so symbolic of the city where we have really good people and sometimes bad things happen, but we had to keep going forward. Oakland is in a place where we're poised to take off. And so I'm going to start with the positive because we usually look at the negative. Oakland is centrally located. I was just talking to half a dozen CEOs from San Francisco, reminding them that my office space rent is $10 less a square foot, that our weather's better, we have a much hipper culture. The New York Times says our restaurants are the hottest in the Bay Area, and that we have a community that really wants to move forward. And that's probably our best asset, that we have a community that wants to move forward. There was a recent poll taken, and it was very interesting. I'll talk more about later. We may not all agree in this room, but I've been trying to find a fair way to cut $46 million from the city budget after we've cut 170 at a time where, I don't know about you, I woke up to hearing about the federal cuts, and I was going to ask Andrea at some other time. Well, we hear that we got away with no Head Start cuts. They were originally going to cut 20% of all Head Start programs, but there are going to be other education and other health care cuts that's bound to hurt the city. And so I had to figure out over the weekend before our budget meeting on Monday how much of the federal cuts hurt our budget, how that will affect us. So we're in a time when the nation's in recession. The state of California put its past debt on a credit card and the bills come due, and there's no shortcuts there either, and that if Jerry Brown does not get an ability to put the continuation of the sales taxes we're now paying on the ballot, our schools are about to take even harder hits. That is not a good situation for a state. It's not great for the city of Oakland either, and I'll go more into what we're facing as a challenge. But in that context, we know that we can't deny our children a future. We know as a city that we can't move forward unless our schools do well, unless we take care of our seniors. And so it is going to be very tough. I am asking you to help me unite this community so we get through these tough times, what the economists tell us are going to be at least another 3 years. And I think we can do it. I think this is a city that's been enormously generous, that stepped up in the past to help its schools, that has started to organize block by block. I am amazed at the amount of organizing that's just taken place in the last 3 months with people, new neighborhood alert groups, new organizations. The huge turnout and the follow-up from our town hall meetings is the kind of energy we need. So that's why it's so important that you be here, why it's so important that we move together as a city. There's bound to be disagreements over the budget. There's bound to be disagreements over the strategies. But let's agree that whatever happens at the end, that we move together as a city, that we work together as a city. When I look at the long-term projections for Oakland, we're one of the 3 cities in the Bay Area that the people who make their living doing long-term projections say is going to continue to grow in jobs, is going to continue to grow in housing. The question is, will those jobs be for our children in our community, and will the housing continue to be as representative as it has so that Oakland continues to be the most diverse city in the country? And we're not just talking about the 128 languages taught in our, or spoken in our schools, or quite frankly, the 128 foods that come along with that, one of my favorite things. We're talking about the fact that this is a city of real neighborhoods, that we have rich people, poor people, working class people, that this is what young people from the city sometimes describe to me as, I love Oakland because it's a real city. And what they mean by it is not just the city of the very rich or the very poor. Our Chinatown is a living Chinatown. It's not a tourist trap. The Fruitvale, and one of the things I'm going to be calling for in my newsletter this week is that we all go and eat in the Fruitvale this week. It'll probably be the safest it's ever been because we're going to have extra police patrols. But we need to stand behind those merchants, and we need to show Chewy Campos that his dream of a vibrant community is something that we all embrace. And I have to tell you, since I got to walk almost the entire Fruitvale last Saturday, I was amazed at all the new regional restaurants there. So I had the best mole that I've had in a long time. And you can always get pozoles at Chewy's restaurant. And so sometimes some restaurants only have it on the weekend, but whenever I need pozole during the week, that's where I go. And we need to show support to his family at Otayez. And we need to sort of do that. We need to pull together as a community. So I usually say other things. I'm going to leave it at that because I think the breakout groups are pretty important. I want us to get to there. And so let me introduce my friend, and we don't always agree, but my friend still, Ignacio De LaFuente.